Welcome to Council Agenda. I'm Dan Ginden. Council Agenda is a show-short series here on WMCT-TV, and it gives ward councilors and at-large councilors an opportunity to come on and talk about things that are going on in their wards or on the citywide level. And today we have Ward 1 Councilor Joe Delano. Joe, how are you?
I'm well, Dan. Nice to be with you.
Thank you. It's very nice to have you here. So you are finishing up your first term. So can you talk about what that's like? You know, has it been everything you thought it would be?
You know, it's pretty much been what I thought it would be. After spending 4 years on the school committee, moving over wasn't much of a shock. It was different, but I think it's been good. It's gone very well. I'm really pleased with the last 2 years.
Yeah. How does it compare to your time on the school committee?
Boy, it's just different. It's so all-encompassing. We do so much work in committees, and so a lot of the decisions and background work is done there. But it's been interesting. I feel like I don't want this to sound pejorative, but it's a bit more professional in that, we deal with things a little bit differently.
Right.
Some of the things I miss is the children would be involved a lot on school committee. I miss my interaction with the teachers and the school administrators who are wonderful.
Yeah.
So I miss that, but it's been different, but it's been good.
Yeah. Now, you are running unopposed, which is why we're allowed to talk about election stuff without worrying about another candidate.
Yes.
So what does that tell you about what your constituents think of you since someone is not running against you?
Well, I think it makes me feel pretty good. I really feel that I've worked very hard trying to respond to most every phone call and trying to help my constituents with their individual problems. A lot of the things may be that they need some help that our good folks at the DPW can help with, our legal department, whatever it may be. But I also think on the larger issues that affect the entire ward and the entire city, that I've worked hard, tried to be reasonable. And I think when you go to the city council, you pretty much have to decide who you're going to cast your lot in with. It's either going to be with the taxpayers or it's going to be with the folks who want to keep the status quo. And I feel like there's only a handful of us up there, well, a couple of handfuls, the city councilors and the mayor, that can stick up for the taxpayer. And so that's really what I try and do. In my business, I'm in the financial services business, I meet with a lot of people from Marlboro and the surrounding area. And not all of my clients are wealthy. I have mostly ordinary people who are retiring, and I have a lot of people who are struggling. And they come to me and, they're making some very difficult decisions. Somebody who's lived here for 30 or 40 years, trying to hold on to their house.
Right.
And when we try and balance this with giving our employees fair raises and good benefits, I'm always looking for efficiencies to try and help those residents that I think of that are really struggling.
Right.
And they're not making decisions about where to go for vacation. It's, can I afford heating? Can I afford medicine and those types of things? So
right.
That's really where my mindset is.
It's scary right now. It really is.
It's very scary. It's very scary.
Yeah.
In some cases, some of the seniors who are retired and in reasonably good shape are, they've missed a lot of this. But we have young families struggling. We have
right.
everybody struggling. And if you're not struggling, you're nervous about struggling. And so to control what we can, at least on the city level, is really a big responsibility.
Yeah.
So trying to cut costs wherever we can, it's not easy, and it doesn't make you necessarily popular.
Yeah.
But it's the right thing to do.
Right. Well, let's talk about Ward 1, where you represent. What's going on there right now?
Well, any counselor will tell you, biggest issues are going to be roads. In my case, it's roads and sewers. Many people don't realize that Ward 1 has the highest percentage of residents without sewerage. And we have many houses that have been there for a number of years that have gotten to the end of their useful life for their sewers. So as we start looking at redoing roads, which we have to do citywide, we also have some areas where we desperately need sewers. In the Sudbury Street area and some of those surrounding streets, we've got some big issues there. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
People of Ward 1 are very interested in schools and having good, strong schools, and I'm proud to say that we do have that. and I always support reasonable school funding. And in the last several years, the City Council has not taken away really any money from the schools. And of course, we're always talking about taxes.
Yeah.
Everybody's worried about that, so we try and work on those issues as well. And then you get the individual issues, such as my neighbor's got a junky yard, and what can you do to help me?
Yeah.
But the anti-blight ordinances have helped us doing that, and Pam Wilderman does a wonderful job helping the ward councilors.
Yeah. Now, you're on the finance committee,
Yes.
correct? So let's talk a little bit about the city's finances right now versus what we may be looking at in the future or are looking at for the future.
Well, they're obviously inextricably tied. Right now, the state of the city finances is good. We have roughly a little over $7 million in unrestricted stabilization funds. We have a few million that's already committed. We have the ability to raise taxes as needed, which means I think we now have around $12 million before we'd hit a prop override. And I think that's important, and that shows a good stewardship. However, we have some very significant expenses down the line. We have a serious deficit in our retirement funds. All retirement funds have been hit, but the expenses are growing and growing. And we have employees that are retiring at early ages, and it makes it very hard to fund that. We also have something that probably none of the public is aware of, and it's a huge liability that we now have to fund because of a change in regulations. We call it OPEB, but it's other post-employment benefits. It's really health insurance. Depending on the actuarial method that we use, we could have a liability of up to $111 million. Wow. That's almost the entirety of our entire budget this year.
Yeah.
And that's scary, and we're going to have to start funding it year by year. In the outlying years, the projections are numbers like 10, 11, $12 million. Wow. And right now, that would be about 10% of our budget.
Yeah.
And the taxpayers are going to have to pick up the tab for this. So
Right.
we need to deal with that, and we also need to look at doing business differently. For instance, we may have to start outsourcing some positions, because then we won't have to pick up the tab for those long-term retirement benefits and the long-term health care benefits. I've advocated that in the DPW through attrition. I don't want to fire anybody ever.
Yeah.
We have great employees, but there's a lot of retirements coming up. And I think some of the less skilled functions can be done by folks who don't necessarily work for the city full-time. I think we have to make that shift, because we can only go to the taxpayer so much.
Right.
And the way the numbers are working, it's getting more and more expensive to have an employee.
Yeah.
So I think we should have our skilled people working for the city, the engineers, some of the great foremen, some of the other folks that do a great job. But lawn mowing, some of these other types of things can be done by less skilled folks that don't have to be on the payroll 12 months a year.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to ask you something that we actually didn't talk about before we sat down, just because of what you brought up. I've talked to other counselors about it, and I want your opinion too. How difficult is it for you as a city councilor? You're trying to balance, you're trying to do the right thing, but there's always someone who's upset, because if you decide that we're going to save these people, well, now the taxpayers are ponying up some more money. But if you don't want to do that to the taxpayer, then someone else gets slighted. So, I mean, it's very hard to balance that, isn't it?
Well, and that's at the beginning of the program I talked about. You have to decide who you're going to throw your lot in with.
Yeah.
Is it the taxpayers or is it the status quo? Now, we can find a lot more efficiencies without hurting either party. But right now, because of the various contracts and work rules that we have, it's next to impossible to be really efficient in the current system. So either we change that system, which is very difficult, or as we have attrition, we go to a more efficient system. We owe it to the taxpayers to do that.
Right.
But it doesn't make you popular,
Right.
and it's not comfortable, but that's what we're here to do.
Right. Let's move on. If you could give us an update on the cell towers, what happens to the revenue?
People ask that. We recently had a cell tower that caused quite a bit of controversy in Ward 7, and I think there was a misunderstanding that we we're looking to put these things up so the city gets the money. Number one, the city doesn't really want to put them up, but we're required by federal law to allow them. The federal government wants to have, and reasonably so, a good system of cell service as well as the other wireless services that are being utilized. We also use them for emergency services whenever we put up a tower. Now, since I've been here, we haven't put up a new tower itself. We've added more antennas to the existing ones, but the revenue typically goes into what we call revolving funds. For instance, over at the Sligo Tower, the rocket ship looking one.
Yeah.
That's a great location for the cell services because it's so high and its proximity to the highway, etc. And right now, we've been using that revenue to rebuild Stevens Park. Actually, we did it a couple times. And so we try and use that money for the neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. It doesn't go into the till for the city generally. And we don't necessarily want to put these things up, as I say. And we said no to one of them, but we're required to do that. So to the extent that we can, right now at Sligo Hill, I think there's about $500,000 in that kitty.
Is that right?
Still left over. And there's discussion about rebuilding the rocket ship. That water tower is pretty old.
Yeah.
But the estimates are coming in closer to $1 million or $750,000.
Wow.
And
that's such a great monument to the city because you see it from 290, from 495, and we had a former employee here who grew up in Marlborough and said when he went away on family trips, he always knew when he was close to home because he saw that.
That's right. That's right. So it's a very touchy one, and if we were to ever not fix it up or rebuild it, I know it's going to be over Councilor Jouer's dead body because he's pretty adamant about that. So.
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to ask you about before we wrap up here, the new wastewater treatment plant, how is that going to affect residents in Ward 1?
Well, right now we have to rebuild or redesign both the easterly and westerly plants to reduce the amount of phosphorus going out. We have had a history of problems on the easterly side. So I know that there are many residents who are very concerned, both in Ward 1 and Ward 2, which is across the street, that have been affected when that plant hasn't run properly. So we're going to be looking very closely to make sure that the design takes into consideration the needs of the neighbors, both business and residential, so that it's done properly and there's a minimum of problems.
Okay.
It's a huge issue that for years affected the quality of life. There were lawsuits, there was a major problem, and now they've lessened, but they're still not completely non-existent, so we have to work on that.
All right. Well, thank you for coming by and spending some time with us. We really appreciate it.
Dan, it's always a pleasure. It's good
and
to
I'm
see
not
you.
going to shake your hand as I usually do because I'm nursing a little bit of a cold. So
And
I
for
want
that,
to pass that on.
Thank you.
You have been watching Council Agenda here on WMCT-TV.